Welcome back to FCA Friday. Last week we talked about the science behind a breakup and why they suck so much. Today we're going to talk about getting into a long-distance relationship and maintaining a long-distance relationship. Now, I have both science and psychology to back me up on this and personal experience, so let's have fun with that. I have only been in long-distance relationships, and some of them have been very far away, that were strictly online, and the one that I currently have, which will hopefully be my last one, my partner lives 2 hours away from me. So I'm going to tell you, if you are, the way of Tinder and the way of, Match.com and all those things, online dating is a more and more popular way for people who are a little more shy or who can't really get away for being able to find a companion. But there are some downsides to the long distance relationship that maybe you didn't consider. And if you're in one or considering getting into one, I'm going to help you navigate through the world of long distance relationships. First of all, if you're a jealous person, just skip the long distance relationship. That's not going to work for you. See my jealousy video for more information on how I feel about jealous people. But if you're a person who tends to be jealous and you live hours, states, or countries away from them, that's just going to drive you to insane levels. You don't need to mess with that. If you're a jealous person, stick to real life dating, first of all. When you have a real life relationship of somebody who's nearby, then you can see them whenever you want. With long distance, you clearly can't. Now, of course, there's, Snapchat and Skyping and Facebook Living and all that stuff. But that doesn't always make up for, in fact, it doesn't make up for being with that person in real life and being able to physically have them in your proximity. When you're always talking online, there are certain things you can't go to the movies together. You might be able to set up online dates where you both watch the same movie at the same time, but that's not the same as getting to go to a theater and sit next to them and squeeze their hand and things like that. You won't be able to go out to dinner with them. Making plans with a long distance relationship is necessary. What you're going to have to do in a long distance relationship is a love that is denied or that is ignored will wither and die. That's a Jessica Hagee or Hagee. I'm not trying to pronounce it. Quote. You have to talk about real life eventually. The year mark is where you're going to want to do that. And leading up to that year, you're going to need to have time to be with that person. Over summer, which is when a lot of people, because they have a lot more time from work, they don't have school a lot of times, and so there's more free time. When the school year starts up and you guys are both in college, or you're both, I would imagine, college, if you're trying to find a relationship, you're going to have to try to finagle around everything. Your real life is going to take over your online life most of the time. Because consider this, you have classes, you have a work schedule, you have dentist and gynecologist and physicals and those kind of appointments that you have to try to work around and have time that's suitable to spend online with this other person. After a few months of online dating, you might of just talking on the computer or sending messages. After 2 to 3 months, that's when you should start having phone calls and text messages, things that are a little bit more personal. You should also go the route of choosing a certain time of day or a certain day of the week with a certain time, so many times a week, to spend with that person online or to talk to them. 9 o'clock at night on Sundays and Wednesdays up until midnight. Those 3 hours are for us to Skype call, message, whatever. That is our time. Or and make days, this particular day I'm spending talking and communicating with my long distance relationship significant other. You will eventually have to meet this person in real life if you want to be long distance. You cannot maintain a long distance relationship without eventually coming together. And as I mentioned before, the year mark is the good way to do that. That's when you need to start talking about seeing each other in real life. You got your schedules down, you've gotten to know each other, you've claimed to other people, because in real life, for the first few months that you're dating somebody, you don't really tell people that you're dating someone. You're talking online or you're sort of messaging someone. But when you fully go, no, this is a person who I have a commitment to, you need to meet up in real life. That's another thing to consider with a long distance relationship, is if somebody is states or countries away from you, you might only get to see them 1 to 2 times a year. That can be very straining on the relationship, and you're not always going to get time off. You're taking away from possible money opportunities, missing things in real life, and you're just not going to have that person for every promotion, baby showers, bridal showers, to be your date for someone's wedding. Those are things that's going to be different from a real life versus long distance relationship. After you've met in real life after a year, that's a good time to decide, okay, do I want to meet this person in real life and see how you get along in real life. When you're going to meet someone in real life who you've been dating online, you have to talk about what is acceptable and what is expected for the real life meetup. Since I'm recommending a year, you've been dating this person for a year. Is kissing okay? Is hanky-panky okay? What is appropriate for, when you first meet? Is a kiss okay? Is it hugging? Do you not want to do any touching until you kind of get your first real life, stabilize with that? You want to make sure that you are giving that person that kind of respect. And, when you do meet in real life, don't try to cross the line because you're ready. If that other person has made it clear that they need a little more time, that's kind of going to ruin your relationship because they're going to feel like you don't respect boundaries since it is your first time in real life. So you've met up a couple times in real life, but you spend most of it online. After 2.5 years of dating, and you've only gotten to see each other 1 to 2 times a year, that's when you're going to have to talk about the big questions, like moving. Yeah, you're going to have to talk about moving with that other person because as I said, a love ignored will wither and die, or as Jessica Hagee says. And depending on the distance, there's a lot of things to consider. If it's a couple hours away, then obviously you are both in the same state or in the same country, in the very least. One of you might be in Italy and one of you might be in France, so coming together is going to be difficult. And when you're living really far away, someone is giving up a lot more than the other person. Are you both giving up everything and meeting in the middle? Or is one person's going to have to give up their job, the closeness with their friends, the closeness with their families, and miss out on those things to be with this relationship? And, if you're going to different countries, you might have to consider passports if you don't already have one of those. Are you going to get a new citizenship? There are certain things, if you're going to another person to live with them in another country, there might be things like guns and cars that you can't take with you to that other country that you have to give up. So those are things that you want to consider with a long distance relationship. And if it's going to be a long distance relationship that you want to turn into a long-term relationship, if you want this to be the one kind of relationship, then you're going to need to eventually